Welcome back to some professional Starcraft 2, and no, you're not watching the Blizzcon 2018 finals. No, stay at home story cup number 3. We kept these players at home, snugly tucked into whatever outerwear they seem to love wearing. Hoodies are very popular. Not important. Why? This isn't Outfit Wars. It isn't Planet Side. It isn't the Hallmark Channel. It is Stay at Home Story Cup number 3. And let me introduce you to, in the bottom left, the finisher. Was he slumping? He got knocked out of IEM Katowice pretty early on by the creme de la creme, and quite a disappointment. Well, he's not here to disappoint again. It's Serral. He's changed up his name to indicate his focus on Roach Ravager, I assume, as everyone loves. Or something along those lines. I never know why pro players do this, but it seems curious. And anyways, in a return to sanity, in a return to Protoss, but Jimmy, I can't hear the probes mining. I need to hear the probes mining. It's very important to me. Respect your probes. In the top right. So far this year, YOLO tosses. These wild, crazy Protoss players, their wild, crazy builds from their bag of Protoss tricks have taken center stage. Zest with his orange hoodie. Stop with the Zest and Haz and even Trap showing off a lot of early game prowess. But there's one man who defines defensive Protoss, a solid macro build. We weren't sure if it'd ever come back, but roaring back, taking center stage and showing us how it's done. The Shield of Fire Stats. I'm glad, IEM Katowice, these are the kind of players. Well, I predicted Serral versus Trap, but at IEM. This is not IEM. We're a couple weeks after. Everybody's had a little bit of time to reflect on what happened there. Raynor didn't even make it past the group stage at Stay at Home Story, though I'm sure he's going to be crying into his tens of thousands of dollars in prize money from IEM Katowice, buying the fanciest pizzas, and then never letting Special even look at them. Very important. Special is a big fan. Well, we're not going to get into Special's pizza massacres. And we might even talk about the game. I'm trying to do my best Tastosis impression, but we're not quite there yet. But yeah, we're back to, Serral and Stats are the players that you, my newly minted Masters League friend, because that's what's happening now. These are the type of players you can just copy. Their builds are builds that make sense. They're not reliant on some sort of killer instinct or ridiculous micro and speed and APM. Not that they don't have it, but their strategies, including... Oh my god. What a save! Calm, calculated, pragmatic, and decisive. So we will see. So far, Stats has lost 0 units, including that 1 HP Adept. It looks like we're off to This is the book right here, by the way. In case you wanted a book on how Protoss versus Zerg is supposed to be played standard, we've got Void Ray into Oracle into 3rd, Twilight behind, adding on some more gates of production, whereas Serral, we all know that because of pesky probes nowadays, as a Zerg, your natural is either your 3rd or their natural. So, Serral was forced into that, making it a little more awkward. Stats refuses to playing a perfect game so far. He catches a couple drones transferring to the natural, but Serral has a couple queens. Oh, a Glaives follow-up. Now, he's adding on 2 more gases. He's adding on the 3rd. We're still building probes. This is not like, I'm going to all-out kill you, Glaives. This is, if you get a little greedy, well then, you're going to get punished. But it isn't I'm adding on 7 gates and a robo, and this is my strat. The third base was just a ruse. You've been bamboo. No. He's at 44 probes and counting. 44 probes is usually the max you go to, and it's a real tell for these early all-ins. It looks like Serral has an inkling of what's happening here. I'm excited to find out when Stats will finally lose a unit. I'd imagine when the Adepts come out. He's holding on to him, but Serral... Wait. Is Serral doing... Yeah. Brenda! Oh, wait. Oh, Stats... So the roaches were not defensive. Serral is expecting. Now, here's the beauty of going for the Void Ray first. Void Ray is making it very hard for Overlords to get much information. Brenda's knitting crew on the way across, taking the... Well, so this is awkward. This is supposed to counter double Stargate Void Ray. The Queens give you the anti-air, and then the Roach Ravager Ling counters everything on the ground. So, the knitting crew... Meanwhile, Stats has shield batteries coming together at home. Stats has finally... He lost a shield battery before losing any units. Finally, an Adept will fall. Oh, the force fields isolate and destroy a couple Ravagers. The Adepts get in. Remember to do this. You reduce your own economy. This is a fearsome, thick attacking force. But none of these units have particularly high DPS. I guess maybe the Ravager. It's a lot more brawn than it is, I was going to say brains, but that would just be insulting, than necessarily damage potential. Also, alright everyone, pack it up. It's like, we're going to leave in 5 minutes. Really? Really? You don't even have socks on. Come on. We both know it's going to be at least 25 minutes. And then if we're lucky, we'll be able to start the car. And the car's cold, so we got to let it warm up first. And that's Queens coming on back here like, get your coats on. There's Adepts at our base. It's a disaster. Oh, wow. So this was not just, oh, come on. Wow. Wow. Stats. He doesn't even need sentries for force. Oh, come on. Oh, how perfect is that? The Ravagers, instead of breaking the force fields, the Ravagers are the force field. Oh my god. Oh, come on. We couldn't have scripted this better. The Ravagers, one of their main purposes is to break force field. And somehow Stats has maneuvered them into becoming... I can't... Wow. And then he just... The Oracle lives with 1 HP. 0 fucks. I don't... Stats has lost 14 Adepts. He did lose his 3rd Nexus. Not that he had a bunch of probes. Stats knew it was a risk. He immediately, upon seeing that Queen Ravager push, retreated to the natural. He amputated the Nexus, knowing it was more of a liability than something worth defending. And now he finds himself up 10 workers. He killed the lair with the Ravager force field. Oh my god. The meticulous execution. And honestly, a little bit of luck. Like, one more Ravager attack and that Stasis Ward wouldn't have made it. Everything has worked out perfectly. But he's put himself... It's 90% putting yourself in the right place at the right time, and 10% getting lucky. It feels like many Protoss play the opposite of that, which is 10% putting yourself in the right place in the right time, and 90%, well, I guess it worked out, like... Or it didn't. Oh! The block! And the... He loses 2 Stalkers, but he gets a high energy Queen. The force fields are good. You ain't coming up that ramp. Sure, these are good old-fashioned Protoss force fields, but like... And behind this, so what does Serral have? He's still making Ravagers. He's still making Zerglings. He's got 44 drones. He ain't coming back from that economic hit. Stats, not losing. He's only lost 1 Void Ray, and the Void Ray wasn't even key. This is also something that is just so impressive about Stats. When he loses units, they are the units that he can afford to lose. He's not losing sentries. He's not losing immortals. He didn't even lose the Oracle. Here comes Serral, though. This is it. I'm already, like, acting like this is a foregone conclusion. There's 2 disruptors on the way. Keep an eye on that. But here comes Stats, retreating to the back line. Shield battery overcharge. Used, and there's a timer on this. There's blink. There's force fields and guardian shield. Serral breaking through. Transfuse is at the back. The Queen's angry after the earlier transgressions, but is it going to be enough? The shield battery overcharge, keeping the immortal intact, and Serral doesn't even let the attack peter out. No. Stats holds. The shields hold. And Serral is dismantled, destroyed, and was an instrument of his own destruction. Oh my, a master class. Fine, like, it's so refreshing. I feel like, no offense, some offense to Zest and Haz and Parting. Finally, someone teaches us how to play Protoss instead of letting Protoss play itself. Thankfully, someone remembers. Well, that was, a rough game 1 for Serral, but I gotta say, I did enjoy it. I don't, like... It feels like after a whole multi-day bender of Protosses just throwing units at other people and still succeeding, we finally sobered up, and Stats is like, here, have some Gatorade. Here's like here's a coffee. Maybe don't drink it all at the same time. Those are 2 weird things. Like, put the Gatorade in the coffee. It's like, no, what happened to Stats? Oh my god. No. One at a time. Take your pick. He offers both. He's got both options on the table because that's just pragmatic. Like Stats. Like and subscribe if it's good to see Protoss like that. I always forget. We gotta, like, we've already lost all the Terrans, okay? They're like, ugh, no Terrans? Disgusting. Well, don't worry, Cure did very well in this tournament. Not well enough, thankfully, but Cure did very well, so I look forward to taking a look at that. Because, you know, when Cure is involved, very exciting things happen. And that's all I have to say about that. I don't, like, Serral thought it was a 2 Stargate Void Ray build. And that's a pretty common choice, common entree in the Protoss menu of openers. But it wasn't. Stats... And honestly, Glaive Adepts are not even really a counter to what Serral was doing. Like, Glaive Adepts are better than having an awkward, like, 3 Void Rays against it. But it's not even, like, on paper, you're not like, oh, he's going for the Queen push. I get Glaive Adepts. No. It's like Charge Lots or Robo. But Stats just maneuvered the Adepts so well. And the key part is not knowing when to attack, but when to retreat. On top of, like, the highlight of, I don't know how long, but that Ravager force field was disgusting. Even, like, I need to find the reaction of both Serral and Stats to that moment, because as a StarCraft player, I can tell you neither player is expecting that to happen. Like, Stats puts down that stasis ward like, I hope this hits, but I bet it won't. And Serral's like, okay, it's a stasis ward, but whatever. And then it happens. Like, that's even for someone like Stats, it's like 1 in 100. Not 1,000. It's not that rare, but like, you can't bank on him force fielding his own units out of his base. It's such a perfect, it's a perfect scenario. It's like a Disney movie script. Okay, like, you know, some dramatic, like, they're gonna swoop in, and just when you thought the Adepts wouldn't do any more damage, the Ravagers get force fielded on the ramp. It's like, oh, okay, maybe go back and write it more realistically, but no. And I don't think that was the game changer. It just solidified Stats' position. Like, killing the lair was not required to keep Stats going, but it definitely didn't hurt. So, at the end of the day, Stats ends up in a great position. I gotta go back to my original point. That's more important. Retreating. Knowing when to retreat is more important than knowing when to attack. So many, especially for Protoss, especially against Zerg, when you don't have the army, when you don't have the pieces, like it's like building a computer, which is a very expensive Lego puzzle. Well, depending on how into Legos you are, really. But with Protoss, like, if you don't have all the pieces together, it's not gonna work. Like, if you don't have the sentries, if you don't have the glaives, if you don't have shield battery overcharge, these are all key components. Like, the thing just doesn't work if you're sitting there with a bunch of stalkers and non-charged zealots. It's just not gonna happen. Zest is like, hold my hoodie, and I'm like, oh my god, I thought you'd never ask. But also, what? It doesn't... Most of the time, it shouldn't work. So Stats knows that, and he's very willing to just back off, and it's everything. It really is. What is happening here? The Oracle comes in, 3 kills this time at the natural, as we reprise the last game. This time it's double star. Wait, yes, double star into Twilight with a forge. So this is the even more long-winded version. I don't think Stats meant to kill Serral last game. I don't think his intention was Glaive to Depths doing critical damage. He was investing in more. He got Blink behind, which is good defensively, but is also a more mid to late game upgrade. He got Blink behind. He was building probes. Like, he had over nearly 60 probes when he was doing the Glaive to Depths. It wasn't like his strategy was Glaive to Depths, period. It was Glaive to Depths, comma, robotics facility. Like, this is even more... Well, one, we're not going to have a Depths. We got the Forge for +1. We got 2 gases at the 3rd. Look at the probe count. Look at it. 65. It's a lot of probes. But Serral competing as well. The fact, though, that Stats is just all the way, usually up to about 50 workers, it's about even, because the larva hasn't really kicked in yet. Usually a Zerg kind of just explodes past that point, but Serral hasn't been allowed. He's doing it now. You see 10 drones in the production tab. Oh, there's a stasis ward in the main. I missed it. 3 drones. Stasis ward definitely becoming a concern for Serral after the last match. This is just... Stats is just building the shield right now. That's what he's doing. He's just sitting back. In Death Ore is a map we see this a lot on, because you can essentially wall off the 3rd. The 4th is on a high ground. You just have this more late game capability than on a map like Pillars of Gold, where it's a lot harder to defend both sides. Serral's also kind of acknowledging that. Brenda, after last game you thought we would have creep. No! Well, they're taking their time. They're queens. But both sides have kind of sat back and built up, and we're going to get... Now the question will be, does Serral go? Because Stats has a bare bones army here. And I mean, it's very strong bones. Stats loves his calcium. But he's got 4 Void Rays, he's got a couple Archons, and an Observer to clear the creep. The Warp Prism, wow. He takes better care of his Zealots than Zest takes care of his damn Warp Prisms. I'm gonna use this whole series to get annoyed at other Protoss players for making Protoss look like the sloppy cousin of an upstanding, respected Protoss. And yes, I mean it in every way. It's like technically we're related, but we just don't mention, like, oh, okay, like, yeah, just send them a few hundred minerals and Just don't look at him. He never quite, like, he never made it into the Templar archives, let's put it that way. Oh, come on, Stats. Stats has lost 2 Zealots and an Adept. Like, I want to be a Zealot in Stats' army, okay? Like, if I had to pick, and I had to be a unit in a player's army, there may be no better player to increase my chances of survival than being in Stats' army. Now, with that said, oh, well, he's fine. Wait, don't try to save them all. You can't save them all. Stats is just having some heart-wrenching trauma over those 2 Zealots. He tried. You looked at it too. Like, he was thinking about trying to juggle the Zealots out, but unfortunately, he went back for a split second like he was gonna do it. But those Zealots are part of the supply freeing program. He's just kind of gone to carry. He's going carry. Both sides are nearly maxed out at 10 minutes. With the, like, Serral's building 2 spires and an ultra, 3 spires. Serral. What? This isn't BGH. Okay, he agrees. Like, Serral. He's obviously inspired, but, like, you can't. At some point, it's a bit much. He's getting all the lisks. Meanwhile, on the other side, Stats just is building 4 carriers at a time. Stargate Command in the main. Ultralisk on the way. So the Ultralisk, you might be like, Ultralisk, don't counter! Oh no! He freed up not enough supply for another carrier! Will Stats kill his own Zealots? Wait, does he have any? One of these units is not like the other. Alright, we gotta start a game show. My life for Ire. The swarm. Wait. Ire. Ah! Stats is now maxed out. Next week, will Billy the Changeling be found out? Okay, Stats will finally lose his prism. He'll try to escape. Okay, Stats. So when that happens, just to be clear, the warp-ins come back, the Zealots can be immediately warped in somewhere else. They just lost the... Like, you gotta restart the download. You know how... Oh my god! Okay. Well, that was kind of Serral freeing up supply, but Stats really helped him out. Jimmy, check the forecast! Yeah, it makes sense. The Ultras and Lings are to have some potential to actually kill the Templar. Like, Serral isn't building Ultras because he thinks they counter carriers, okay? Let's make that very clear. He's building Ultras because you need something that can maybe close the distance or do some sort of counterattack. And Zerglings, as we've already seen, aren't going to cut it. The Spore Forest, but here come feedbacks on the Vipers. Oh my god, welcome to Stats' class on Magical Protoss here at Hogwarts. As everything is being perfectly controlled, there's a small counterattack, and I say small in comparison to the size of Stats' army. Now, Stats doesn't need this base. Serral needs to kill this. Serral needs to kill, right now, 7 carriers. He's got to kill 6 High Templar. Somebody please explain to me how he pulls that one off. Storms on one side. Storms on the Corruptors. Storms on the Corruptors. No, Serral doesn't know. Stats just comes in with a clean. He builds his army, and then he walks across the map, and he wins the game. Okay. I don't even know. I don't know. It's just Stats is doing everything better. It really does feel like other Protoss, they let themselves go. Alright? They're like, well, it's too hard to play a later game against Zerg, so I just do random timings that still are quite successful much of the time. Here comes Stats, like... Stats has never stooped to that. I'm sure Stats is cannon rushed at some point. Every Protoss has. Like, it's like how you join the army and they still make you do, like, they still make you run the mile, even though then they slap you at a desk at a Little Caesars. Like, at some point you have to cannon rush. But, like, he's just, it doesn't look beatable. I don't know what Serral could have done. I mean, Serral felt like he was kind of reaching in many different directions there, like Stats wasn't going to max out an attack. Because, like, that's another thing, is a lot of Protoss players at the late game army. Yes, I'm talking about essentially almost all other Protoss. They feel timid when they're playing defensive like that. Like, the Zerg is going to run in and overwhelm them at any time. Like, your ladder experience. But Stats just know. He's like, I have the army, now I attack. And Serral just... He thought he was ready. He had a couple dozen Spore Crawlers, he had Corruptors, he had Vipers. And Stats with a few well-placed feedbacks. And a couple solid Storms on top of the... Like, part of it comes down to just not losing units. Like, it's not just fun and wholesome to keep your Zealots alive. Like, literally keeping the War Prism, keeping the Zealots alive, those are little things that add up. The lack of having to rebuild another Prism, or rebuild a bunch more Zealots, or feel like at any point you're vulnerable to attack because you spent too much attacking, like, that attention to detail allows you to put together the army in such a relatively quick time. So it's not like Stats is just pressing the right button. Like, the things he's prioritizing are paying off in the long run. But yeah, the Stay-at-Home Story Cup. I haven't even had time to talk. Stats has given us exactly as much time as it's needed to maybe win this tournament at this rate. But while it's not the most prestigious of tournaments, and maybe that's not even right, but like, and since it is stay at home, obviously the vast majority of players are at home, besides those who could like literally drive there. Still though, it's not like anybody's holding back here. What? There's no IEM Katowice Volume 2 coming up next month. I have no idea. Where was this Stats in IEM? What happened? He's facing the same players he faced in IEM. Or at least many of the same players. But he's just crushing it. He's crushing Serral. And Serral, like... I don't even think Serral's really doing much wrong. If anything. But this is... When I make fun of... And yes, I'm spending the first 4 minutes of each game talking about just, like, the general pro-gamer meta, as opposed to this... Like, he's going Stargate every game. But this time, on Submarine, he's gone Oracle first, because the map is slightly smaller, and you're much more likely to get damage done with an Oracle, etc., etc. There you go. Caster bit done. What was I saying? Oh, now, see, now this is why we don't do the caster bits. I completely lost my train of thought. It got derailed. It's a disaster. Yeah, it's gone. Okay. I mean, I Am Katowice was also online as well, so that is a tough format for some players, but the matchups are different. Well, the matchups aren't different. The setup is essentially the same. There's a Dark Shrine. Ooh, I like it. Mixing it up a little bit. Yeah, Serral just looks a little lost here. Not just in score. He just looks like he's not ready for what's coming. And he it seems like he knows. And then Stats just... You see, Serral's used to dealing with almost every other Protoss. Every other Protoss that's bleeding out a few units here or there as Stats loses in the depth, but he's getting drone kills. Every other Protoss has a tendency to bleed out key units. And for better or worse, that's not necessarily a terrible thing, but you can kind of expect some give and take. But you're dealing with what is near to like a build order trainer at this point. So I think, and so far, none of these builds are super complicated. None of these builds require like overwhelming micro or 500 APM. Like right now, Stats is under 300, which sounds like a lot, but it sounds a lot more realistic than 600, even for me. It's decision. It's working smarter instead of working harder. Oh yeah, I got to my original point. When I'm making fun of all the diamond players and myself, I say you're not playing a strategy game. You don't get to play a strategy game until, at the very best, like Grandmaster, and even then maybe more cynically higher up. Here we're playing a strategy game. Both these players, none of them are making mistakes, but Stats' strategy and execution are superior. Like, it depends, I guess, on your definition of mistake, but it's not like, oh, he just lost a bunch of units for free. No. We're playing the strategy game now, and Stats is winning it decisively. A hive on the way. Like, we're just getting everything so quick. This is the smallest map in the pool. Submarine's well known for being pretty cramped. And, like, Serral has 72 workers, a hive halfway done, and a lurker den on the way with 4 bases. That's 7.5 minutes. Stats is going up to, is that 9 gateways, a Templar archives, gravitic drive, +1 blink. The +1 is actually the latest part of this, but it's all coming together. We're both going to comfortably 4 bases in barely twice that many 20 minutes. Twice that many minutes. All right, I have great words. Double Ruptor. All right, now we're getting a little fancier. Stats is going for the ultimate wizard build. He's got oracles, he's got speed prisms, blink, storm, sentries, adepts, and disruptors. Every single one of his units has an ability, has a spell to cast, a micro move to use. Like, he's got like 7 different spellcasters, all that do very different things. Like, blink stalkers have a very different purpose than disruptors, which have a very different purpose than sentries, which have a very different purpose than high templar and prisms. This is one of those, it works on paper, but in practice, it's gonna be, I'm excited to see even Stats. He doesn't cancel, which is not a huge deal. Like, it's only 300 minerals, but does lose a Nexus. It slows him down. The Warp Prism lives for now. It's getting to the corner. Get out of there. Oh, that's sad. Oh, he almost got it out. But a DT. Stat strikes back. Serral. even when he gets shut down and slowed by the counterattack and the Warp Prism in the main, still a few kills from a DT, like Serral not getting out of that for free. There's a lot going on here, but this is when things can go wrong, especially before you've got a maxed out army. Like, Stats has a lot of moving pieces here. He's got a lot of stuff that has to go right, and Serral has an opportunity for maybe the first time this series to really break. Oh, hello. Okay. Danger balls. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, well, okay, never mind. There you go. That was the right tool for the job. A few zealots come in, keeping Serral honest, making sure he has units back at home. We've got 3 Stargates on the way. A more long-winded method for getting to the... Oh, we're going to see abducted sentries, aren't we? That's how you know a game is getting intense. Wait, Stats doesn't have charge, which is a mistake, I think. Like, charge would be nice to have if you're going to keep doing Zealot counterattacks. Oh my god. That Zealot says, I don't need... Oh, well. If he had charge, he... Oh my god. Oh. You know what? No. Don't look at me! Oh, wait. My life for ire. Okay, Billy. Okay. Yeah, Stat's starting to struggle. Serral able to put on the pressure. He definitely forgot charge. There you go. The first thing I can point to in this entire series that is just straight up a mistake. He definitely forgot charge. And that hurts his chances of killing these bases. Like, the great execution with the Blink Stalkers. He's going to slow down the Roaches and Ravagers, but lose a couple sentries. Oh, will he still get the base? Not quite. Stats. So it took 3 games, but Stats finally made a mistake. So, no cancel on the base, but we're well past the point of carrying about a few hundred minerals. It's going to be at least 20 minutes until we're back at it, more than likely. Once in here, we got some Zealots. He still hasn't noticed, which could cost him with these counters. Force fields. It's getting to the point, though, with both lurker speed and range done. The ability to just get up in Serral's row, even with all these potential defenses. Serral is working both sides. Oh my god, we've got the dynamic duo of splash damage here. We got multiple, like 5-6 disruptors, 5-6 Templar. Don't need charge to just slaughter. I'll never get the building the tech in the very back of the main. Like, of all the places, your main base mines out in like 10 minutes. It's almost there. I'm actually surprised Serral still has this much in tech. But once it's mined out, it just becomes a liability. Which makes me question why so many players decide that's the place I want to have my entire tech tree. At least the spires are in an equally, well, nearly as vulnerable location at the natural, but at least it's in the natural. So, there is charge from Stats. But the lack of charge definitely hurt his chances of doing counterattack damage. It looks like a small force was sent to finish this off in the top right. The thing is, we're kind of boiling down to the larger fight. Serral's banking up money now. He's got 2,000 minerals. He's got 1,000 gas in the bank. Neither side has lost much, especially in the way of gas. You see the exchanges as both players, even in the small engagements, yeah, kill my Stalkers, kill my Zealots, kill my Roaches and Ravagers. Oh, looks like the Warp Prism got yanked in and executed, but that frees up a little space on the map, and a little space on the map means Stats can poke out and knock out a few creep tumors. The great wall of spore crawlers begins as Serral prepares for the siege. He knows, I think Stats just killed his own Stalker in order to free up supply for another carrier, which is probably the best use for his Stalkers at this stage. I will agree. Meanwhile, Disruptors clip a Hydra. There are some lurkers, the spore crawlers. Gonna force Stats to reconsider his options here. Another prism. I don't know where he keeps pulling him out of his back pocket and sending him to the main, and this one's going to do damage, potentially. Unfortunately, though, it's not, because Stats is maxed out. Classic mistake. No, wait, no, okay. Alley-oop. Oh. Yeah, tell your friends what happened here. I will, I always am. I don't know. Oh, the triple shot! 1, 2, 3! Hits spores and lurkers alike. Just whips out the Ruptors into the fray. Finds the damage. Stats is, like, he's bullying Serral a bit with this army. And honestly, on paper, lurkers and vipers and hydras and spores, but in practice, the disruptors open things up, force Serral into an awkward position. The storms finding their mark. The interceptors working on all the targets. Stats even being careful not to hit his interceptors with storm, which is one of the unintended collateral damages that can potentially kill your army off. Like, if you lose a critical mass of interceptors, things get a little dicier. Yanks in the Ruptors, but there's still Templar. There's still 2 more Ruptors where those came from. The Lurkers executed. Parasitic Bomb over all the carriers, probably doing more damage. There are Corruptors in here. One way is to force him to storm himself. But no. No. Wait, I can't. Well, the Corruptors are right on top of the carriers. Serral. It was closer. This one was closer. But by no means at any point. The shield might have been tested, but the shield strongly holds. And Stats, with a decisive 3-0 to win stay at Homestory Cup number 3. After a disappointing result for both these players, and I am Katowice, and by that I mean, like, not winning, Stats just executes Serral with perfect execution. Wow. Okay, well, so that's how you're supposed to do it. There you go. Take that. The thing is, I think you can. Like, that's not a sarcastic, like, good luck out there, everyone. No, no, no. Like, the replays are available. Of course, everything I do is perfectly live from replay, but there you go. And it's not like Serral's strategy was bad. It was just against anyone but Stats. It probably would have been better. But he wasn't against anyone but Stats. Congratulations to Stats. I hope you enjoyed my take on it. Well, there you go. Time for a nerf to every Protoss unit. All right. Somebody get the intern on the phone. Like, subscribe, ring the bell. Leave a comment with your strong thoughts. Thank you for watching. Good luck, and have fun.